and it is Team Dignitas, the superior team today, take it down 3-1 into the semifinals.
I never expected to lose in the quarterfinals, not even close.
Getting that chance to qualify for Worlds is very important to us.
Our goal is to go to Worlds at the end of the day, and it'd be super surreal for me to go to Worlds in my first year playing.
This is our last chance to go to World. I feel like we had a lot of chances to split, and we kind of blew them all.
I want to prove that our team is like one of the best, and I know that we are one of the best when we're playing well.
I think when we play against Cloud9, they particularly hate playing against us.
I don't think we actually hate playing versus anybody, honestly. But I don't know, maybe they're scared of us. Who knows?
Welcome everyone to the Regional Qualifier Final and the last series on North American soil before we ship off to Worlds. Cloud9 and Counterlogic Gaming, two old guard teams, take to the rift in hopes of grabbing NA's final spot. And the fans have packed the arena as earlier Jensen and his team returned to the arena for the first time since their quarterfinals match. We'll see if they can derail Huhi and the rest of CLG's momentum. Hello everyone, I'm James Patterson, and I brought some old guard analysts for this match. It's Mark Zimmerman and Sam Kobe Hartman Kensler. Although as I say that, I'm not sure
How long
he
is
qualifies
Mark
for
been
old
here?
guard.
Yeah, I mean,
I
don't
want
to put myself under here, but I came around the scene end of season 3, start of season 4.
I was here before we had an analyst desk.
Yeah, so I think Kobe's in his own league.
Kobe's
he's
the
the
old guard.
man.
I'm the medium guard. You're the new guard.
I was around the same time as you, dude.
Not as an analyst on
that's
my
true.
desk.
I was an analyst for a team.
So there you have it. The new guard, Mark Zimmerman. The road to today's matchup was filled with exciting games, starting Friday with FlyQuest upset over Team Dignitas in a convincing 3-0, but despite putting up a fight yesterday, they lost their shot at Worlds to Counterlogic Gaming in a 3-1 series.
And it felt like as soon as CLG kind of figured out that they should not be playing Fiora mid and a bunch of other shenanigans, zero range team comp, that they made pretty quick work of FlyQuest overall. FlyQuest still had some good moments, but it did feel like CLG was clearly the better team.
Yeah, CLG right now definitely seem like they have the momentum. You know, they're able to work through the first stage here and ready for Cloud9.
Yeah, exactly. A 3-0 finish over Dignitas in the third place match, moving into a 3-1 over FlyQuest. They've got a fair amount of momentum coming into today's series against Cloud9. And while it might sound impossible, this will be the first time that these two organizations actually go up against each other in a best of 5.
Yeah, it seems crazy given how long they've been in the LCS together, but they've always avoided each other in the postseason. They've kind of taken turns as being kind of the contender against TSM. There was a while where it was C9, then there was CLG, back to C9. And so through all of that, they never met up, and it would be the first time that could potentially happen.
Yay?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say.
There's no more input. That's like an interesting little fact.
There's just like another thing for you to add, which was that if CLG wins this, it'll be the first time that Cloud9 misses Worlds. That's okay.
True.
I got you. Hard to call out a clear favorite as we, 1, haven't seen Cloud9 in over a month, and 2, the team's strengths lie in completely different parts of the map.
That's true.
You got something to add here, Kobe?
Ready.
Wait, no, I think Mark has something to say.
You want me to take the whole?
You go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, all right. Well, I'll hit on Omar God versus Contracts just because they're both young players. Omar God had a really rough time, seems to be figuring things out. Contracts during the regular season was one of the best performing members for C9 over the course of it, but he had a really rough quarterfinals match for Shrimp, was kind of abused a lot early on. So he's kind of up in the air because we haven't seen him for so long. It's hard to say where exactly Contracts will end up.
Now it's your turn.
Yay! Let's talk about the top lane then, fellas. Because Darshan has been performing extremely well. And it's not just a recent surge where people are now recognizing it. It was most of the split. He's actually been performing very consistently this split, whereas Impact has had a very inconsistent split. And Cloud9, you know, they've had a lot of jumbling kind of going on around in the top lane. So that could be an area for CLG.
And now there is also the shining stars in the mid lane for both teams, right? We have Jensen on one side, we got Huhi on the other, the number 1 and number 3 All-Pro NALCS mid laners respectively. Featured matchup for today's best of 5.
Of course, and the big thing for me is just the champion pool difference. You know, Jensen plays a lot of these kind of hyper carry, mid-focused champions that just kind of want to do their thing around the mid lane. Huhi, much more of a team player with that Talia and Aurelion Sol, trying to get across the map and impact people, as well as having a lot bigger focus on counter picks with things like that Bel'Koz and Fiora.
And these two mid laners, I feel like, really embody the themes of the teams that they play for. CLG so team focused. They're always talking about their strategy and their teamwork, every offseason. Whereas Cloud9, I've almost always had this very clear, mid lane focus, trying to camp for Jensen and get him to carry.
Right, and and to be fair, Jensen is lane dominant, right? But you can see there straight from the statistics, while he might be building an individual lead, the question will be, what is CLG doing on the rest of the map in the other two lanes and utilizing Omar God? Can they get enough advantages to overcome what Jensen might be able to do individually?
That's always the tricky thing about C9 is, will Jensen dominate your mid lane so hard that they can't execute on their game plan, especially since he'll be receiving a lot of support from contracts overall, though they do get out of the lane a little bit better now, something that C9 seemed to be doing better towards the end of the season. But if he's going to be kept in lane, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, I think that one worrying thing maybe for CLG is that while Omar has had more time with the team and he's looking better, he's still pretty much perma-tank duty, and they don't have a lot of early game power. So.
Yeah, relying heavily on that Sejuani, getting a couple Gragas bans thrown at him, so it's very clear he wants to sit on those tanks. Keeping all this in mind, I'm going to go back to you guys with who do you think is going to be the third team representing North America at Worlds? Mark?
I'm going to have to go with CLG just because I think, a lot of people talk about having that long period of time for C9 to prepare for this match, but, CLG is preparing this whole time as well. They're constantly playing, and they're playing in matches where they're able to gain some momentum, where, yes, they had a rough start to the playoffs, but then they were able to beat Dig, they were able to beat FlyQuest, they're feeling pretty good about themselves, whereas C9 has probably gotten a little bit of cold feet just having to sit by and watch all these other teams play.
Yeah, I mean, Cloud9, they lost immediately in quarterfinals, where then CLG beat the team that beat them. And on top of that, people are always talking to me, oh yeah, Jensen, Cloud9, mid lane, oh look at the stats, he's so good. Huhi had better stats in both of the regular season matchups that they had versus Cloud9, and CLG won both of the regular season matchups, if you will remember.
Right, so isolating the CLG Cloud9 matchups, all of a sudden the mid lane doesn't look as disparate as it might when you're taking full season stats into account. Either way, CLG votes from both of these guys. We heard the analyst predictions. Now I want to make sure you throw us yours to tweet at LOL Esports with which team you want to represent North America at Worlds and why. Nothing left to do, though, then throw it over to Pastry, Jat, and Azael. And as we go, Aframu gives us his thoughts on facing off against Cloud9.
I think when we play against Cloud9, they particularly hate playing against us in terms of draft for top lane and mid lane. So their soul lanes have a rough time, always got to ban a soul. Who he has Vel'Koz, we played against him last time, I'm pretty sure. And Contracts usually has to play hyper-aggressive junglers to snowball, and due to our champion pool, it does become a very intensive series versus Cloud9. And I think it's one of the more fun matchups to watch in LCS in general, and it always proves to be good games.
Hello and welcome everyone to the final round of the regional qualifier. I am Julian Patriot-Time-Car, and helping me lay down tracks for the NA Hype Train are Joshua Jatt Leesman and Isaac Azael Cummings-Bentley.
It's my favorite track to build every year. I think this is the year.
Well, we'll have to find out because travel agents are at the ready as we jump into the last gauntlet match between Cloud9 and Counter Logic Gaming. Let's kick things off by checking the starting lineups. Picking blue side for game one, it is Cloud9. In the top lane, Impact, Jungle Contracts, mid lane Jensen, bot Sneaky, support Smoothie, and Coach Reapid.
And their opponents today on the red side are going to be CLG. In the top lane, Darshan. In the jungle, Omar God. Mid lane, Huhi, bot and support going to be Stixay and Aframu with Coach Six.
And I think for me, even though Kobe and Mark on the desk did have CLG tip, this to me is one of the hardest best of fives we've ever had to predict as far as outcomes go. These two teams, despite momentum from CLG, despite the pedigree from both these organizations, it feels like one of the closest gauntlet finals we'll ever have.
Well, I think it's just really difficult to get a good sense of where C9 is at right now because we've never had a team be final boss in the gauntlet and have this much of a break from the last time we've seen them. The quarterfinals were a month ago for these guys, and as we saw from FlyQuest, they look like a completely different team from the end of the regular season to the regional qualifier. So we're going to get to see today whether or not C9 is rusty, whether or not they're well practiced, how well they've adapted to the meta and how the changes that have happened since then, and also how they match up yet again against CLG, who they did lose to both times during the summer split.
And I mean, while the guys on the desk are talking about the fact that Cloud9 may be coming in cold, one of the advantages